welcome to another tutorial. My name is Janice and today we are going to learn how to create the perfect image listing in Photoshop for your e-commerce store. So this could be in Etsy, in Creative Market, in Design Bundles, or wherever it is that you are selling your digital products. So I would like to create this specifically for Etsy. So what we are going to do today is we are going to replicate this design. So I have created this set of printables for a friend as a guest blog post in her blog. And so I created this vertical image because I wanted to allow her viewers to be able to pin it on Pinterest. And so as you can see, I put all the printables here with the title and then the name of the website or the person itself. So we are going to replicate this. I'll try to do the best that I can, but it may look a little bit different than this, which is fine. So before we get started, if you haven't subscribed, remember to subscribe right now, hit the bell button so that you get notified every time I upload a new tutorial. So let's get into it, shall we? So the first thing we're going to do is to create a new pin. Let's just go ahead and have a look at what is Pinterest's requirements of a listing, the perfect listing image. It says here the recommended size for listing image is 2000 pixels for the shortest side of the image. I think that's pretty huge. But I like to keep my image between around 1200 to 1500. I find that 2000 pixels is pretty huge, and I can get out a really good quality image with just 1500 or 1200 pixels. So let's do that, and then let's just have a look. I created this pin. I'm just looking through my past pins and what I used to do. Okay, this is my main product here. So as you can see, let me just have a look here. It's 1200 by 1900, and with that I'm already able to get a really high quality image with that. Can you see that? So it's still pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with that. So let's do it. 1200 by 1900. And because this is an image, it's going on a web, we'll just leave it as 72 resolution. 1900. Okay. We'll keep it as 16-bit and then create. Okay, so we have our artboard here, and I want to take out all the images that I've created, as in the product images, which is all these ones. So we have 10 of them. So let's just bring them in one by one. We just select everything and just drag into the artboard, and then just hit enter. Okay, that's all here, and then we'll just select everything. So click on one layer and then hold your shift key and then click the last layer at the bottom, and then Ctrl G or Command G to group it. So we want to put your images all in a folder. You want to organize it really well, and then we'll just turn it off for now. And so we are going to do the background now. Okay, so we can get any texture that we like. We'll go to my resources folder, and then we can maybe use let me just have a look at this. We can either use this one, or maybe we'll use this one here. Okay, so we'll just drag this as well into your artboard, and then hold your shift key and rotate it. Now, while holding your shift key, you can scale it up. Okay, now this is pretty dark, so you want to put the opacity down a little bit and put the fill down as well. Okay, and then next thing we want to create a layer, so hover to this icon and click once, and then this layer will be added. So next we are going to create a gradient background for this image listing. Okay, so now before I get into all this, I just forgot to mention that the reason why I created this as a vertical pin is because when you list up your listing in Etsy, when people are scrolling through your pictures, you are going to make it easier for them to be able to pin it on Pinterest as well. And the best image for Pinterest are vertical images, and so that's the beauty of Etsy. You know, in Etsy they allow you to upload vertical images like that, and so that it just makes things easier for pinning. And if you want to view something up close, you just click into the image and then it just expands. I think it's great that Etsy allows you to do that. Okay, so we are going to do the background gradient color, and to do that, click on the gradient here and then click here. Okay, so as you can see, there's 3 colors. And okay, so we'll just cancel it out first, and then I want to go through my images. Okay, because of this image. All right, so I'm just gonna find an image that have all this that has the blue, orange, and so on and so forth. So I think this is the one that I want to see. Okay, so all right, so we'll just sorry, just remember to put your selection tool. All right, okay, I like this. I want to get the color of the turquoise, the orange, and maybe something else, and maybe this lighter orange in between. Okay, let's do that. So we'll go to your make sure this layer is selected, and then hit the gradient tool, and then hit here, and then go to the first color and then double click on it, and it lets you pick what color that you want. I like this color. Alright, click OK, and then we'll go into the middle one. I'll probably get this pink in color, and click OK, and then the last color is, you can pick the orange color, maybe something darker. Okay, so you get a darker effect. Alright, we'll just look at here again. Yep, I think I prefer this color better. Okay, so we are done. We click OK. Now, if you do not have this triple color available, you can just find any one of these gradient colors that already has the 3 layers, and then you can just go ahead and do the same thing like what I told you. Okay, so I'm just using what I've previously had, but if you do not have that 3 different variation of colors, you can just select any one of these one that has the 3 layered colors. Okay, so click OK, and then we'll just hide it, zoom out, and then you got this clicked, and we'll just drag it like that. Okay, so is that what we want? Just like that again. I like it a bit more bluish at the top. Okay, I think that's good. Or maybe not entirely diagonal, maybe something like this. Something a bit asymmetrical. think that's good. And then we'll turn back on the wooden background and just put it on top of your background. And this is how you do it. Okay, so I want the wood grain to be a little bit bigger, so I'm just going to scale it using my shift, holding on my shift key and just scaling it up. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so next we are going to put the images, arrange the images inside. Now let's just do the title first. So we'll do the title first and just have a look here. Okay, so free planner printables. Okay, we'll use your type tool and click free. Okay, I'm using a playlist, that's the name of the font, free. Alright, just like this. And then I'll just make another one, F. I'll just click F here. The reason why I click F here is because I want to change this to the ornament type, and that just gives you it depends on the font, if the fonts give you this different glyphs that you can use, and sometimes it's called ornaments. See, you can just, sometimes they give you different variations, so script, caps, ornaments, and if you want something else, you can, if I hit G, H, I, J, you know, there's different types, but for this instant I'll use this one. Alright, we'll just close like that. Alright, and then for, I'm just gonna copy it, put it at the top, and I'm going to put this one as printables. I'm going to change the font to the font that I usually use. Okay, now in regards to fonts, it is best to choose a font that that you usually use for your own brand. Like if you're using a certain font, a certain font for a title in your website, maybe use the same font for your listing as well. So when people go to your e-commerce store, everything looks on brand. Okay. Okay, I'll just create this one here. North 3. Yeah, I think I used this. What do I do? Alright, so I'll just adjust the space between the letters. So how I do it is holding your Alt key with your arrow going up. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Okay, so now for the background, I'm just looking at the wooden background, and I'm thinking I might want to improve that a little bit. I'm going to bring up the opacity and bring up the feel a bit, and then I'm just going to change the layer type, okay, to maybe linear burn or just color burn. Maybe color burn would be quite good. Okay, let me just try to, the reason why I'm doing that is so that the color stands out a little bit more. Yeah, much better. Okay, and the free, And the glyph, I'll just gonna link this up together, and I'm gonna just maybe make a little bit smaller with a little bit tilt like that. And then I'm just gonna put this up here. Okay, now I'm just thinking, right, if this is going to be up on your e-commerce store, then I think it can't be free, right? You want to sell a product. So I think I want to change the free to maybe let's say 10 planner printables. Maybe we'll do that instead. Yeah, there you go. Okay, now we'll do the images right now. So first things first, we want to put this image on top of this, on top of the background, of course, and then we'll just group these two together and then lock it. Okay, it will not move. Okay, so just looking at this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange these printables, having the first being the first at the top and the 10th printable right at the bottom. So let me just do this quickly. And then I'm just going to select everything and Control T or Command T to get that, to transform the whole images, and then you'll scale it down to whatever size you want. I'll just put the size for now, and I'm just gonna zoom in, let it just transform first. Okay, and then I'll just maybe, okay, before you start arranging your images, just make sure that this auto select is on. Okay, so we can like select any product on the page and then adjust it. Again, if you want to arrange it or scale it, you just hit the Control T button, okay, so that you can transform your or rotate or transform your image to whatever size that you like. This is a bit tricky, and sometimes it does take a bit of time to arrange it to the proper position, so take your time. Take your time, because you want to arrange it nicely and you want it to look really good. So I always advise this part, just take your time to adjust it to however you like. Now I cannot see the pages in between because there's no shadow effect. Shall we do the shadow effect now? So we'll just click on one image first and double click on the side, and then we'll go to drop shadow. I'm quite happy with that. Maybe you want to increase that a little bit more, or maybe put the size a little bit more, and maybe make it a little bit darker. Just a little bit longer, darker, and maybe a little bit of the spread as well. I think that looks much better. Okay, we'll click OK, and then what we're going to do is we are going to paste all the shadow effect on the rest of the images. So right click on, okay, just make sure you are putting your cursor around here, okay, and then right click, go to copy layer style, and then click on the second image, hold down your shift key and click the rest of them, and then again hover on the side here, right click and copy or paste layer style. and then you can see everything has the shadow effect on each images. Now you can see the separation of each individual printable. Sometimes it's just easier this way so that you can actually see what you're doing. Like I say, take your time and arranging this printables of yours, because it can be pretty tricky, you know, and I know if you don't do it the right way, if you don't do it the way that you want it to be, then it will not give you the right effect that you like. If you do not take your time to do it, you know, it may not turn out the way that you like. So remember to take your time and really enjoy the whole process of it. Okay, do not rush into this process. I think it's so important to create the right image listing for your product, because that's the first thing that people are going to see before they click into it. Okay, you want to make it as attractive as possible, and one of the ways is how you arrange your printables. And also regarding the colors that I chose, make sure that you choose something that matches your product. You want it to blend in with your product. It just makes it more interesting, and it looks great, you know, everything complements each other, and it just brings the whole image together. Okay, so now I've done this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 printable planners. I'll just group them up. Okay, so I don't want to touch that. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I quite like it. It may not be the same as the other one, but you know, different is good. And I always think that you know each time I do an image listing, none of them look the same at all. But that's the most interesting thing about design. You want it to vary, but at the same time, you know that this listing is from the same person who's created it. Okay, one of the ways to do that is to be able to use your colors really well. You know, how I create my printables is really by first thinking of a theme for your printable, and then from that you just stick to that one theme and not be distracted and try to do other things. I know it can be very distracting that you want to shiny object syndrome and all that, right? I mean, you want to put all the elements at once, all the different elements all together, but sometimes it may not be as great as you think it will be. So I always think that you can use different elements, but as long as it's within the same theme, you know, it will probably look really good. So I'm almost done here. Yeah. I think that's pretty good, don't you think? Okay, so I'm just going to select the whole thing again and group it. Okay, and I'm gonna just make sure I'm selecting the group. Oh, that's not going to work. So I'm just going to turn off this auto select and click the group 1, or maybe just put the group here like that. Okay, and then we'll go to the second group here. I told you it's not going to be the same as what I created, but you know, I think it's good to be different and just make things a bit more interesting. We'll just maybe decrease that a little bit. You know, when it comes to image listing and just creating your perfect image listing, a lot of it got to do with balance, you know, how you arrange your image, how you arrange your text, how you put them all together. It has to have a balance, as well as spacing. Spacing creates, if you have enough spacing, it will create room for your for you to view your product as a whole. So I've already done it and I think I quite like it. And let me just increase this a bit more. I quite like how the image is overlapping with the text, but it's a little bit too much. Maybe I will just play around with the text at the bottom. Shall we put a different font instead? Okay, so I've changed the printables to a different font, and you can see how interesting that looks now. I'm not sure about keeping it center, but we'll try keeping it center again. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I think that works. It works really well. And maybe I'll space out the letters a little bit more. So holding my Alt key and putting down my arrow, well, the down arrow, okay, so Alt and down arrow to adjust the line spacing. And so, well, like this, something like this maybe. We'll just make this in the center first. Okay. I like how the words are overlapping the images, so it gives different interesting composition of the whole thing. Maybe I'll increase that. And let me just decrease the font size for the printables. I don't think it needs to be that big. Well, maybe try 1.0. I think that looks so much better. And Control R, which activates the ruler. So I'm just gonna make sure that this looks like, you know, visually it looks like, let me just hide it. So that's Control semicolon, okay, to hide the lines. So it looks like the P, it's higher than the 10. So visually, well, with my ruler it doesn't look like it, but visually it does look like it. So I'm just gonna put this text down a little bit so it sits just underneath the number 10. Yeah, that's what I like. Now that looks so much better. Okay, so last but not least, we'll do the website. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so I'm just going to use the T and maybe use the True North font. Okay, and I'm just going to type my website. select it all, change the color. Yep, it's fully white. And then I'm gonna make it smaller. So I'm gonna just put this in the middle here. I'm gonna make it really small here. Right. And then I'm just gonna double click and then hold your Alt key with your right arrow, and just hitting your right arrow lets you space out the kerning, which is the space between your letters, and it just gives you a very interesting feel to the whole thing. Maybe a little bit smaller. And then looking like we have lots of space in between here, you can either bring your images down. Alright, we'll just bring it down like that. And then we can increase the title. Okay, you just select the whole thing like this. Oops, just select that. And then we'll just increase the title of your image. I like it overlapping, so we're just gonna do that. That's it. I quite like it like that. I'm just gonna check. I'm just gonna use this marquee tool and hold my shift key and put it like a square. So I just want to make sure whether Etsy is able to capture the listing like in the middle like that, you know. So this will be like the first thing that they see. So sometimes when you load up your for example, when you load up your vertical image into Etsy as your main photo for your listing, right? So sometimes they crop it like up to about a square. So I just wanted to see whether you can crop with your text and your image all together without cropping too much. So you need to check this again in your Etsy and try it out. Make sure that when you adjust the thumbnail, that everything is seen, like the text and your images are seen properly, and make sure that your image looks really good in your thumbnail, and then you can save it up. So one last thing that you might be interested in is to create a color on top of your whole image listing. And to do that,
let's go.
Okay, so your image listing is practically done. If you want your image listing to be a little bit of a warmer feel, you can either play with the lighting, or the easier way is to create a colored layer onto your onto the top of your image. And how I do this is create a layer and make sure this is sitting at the top. Okay, and then you can choose a color, something warm like orange or yellow, something like that. Maybe put it a little bit lighter like that. Okay, and then click OK, and then make sure this is at the bottom. Okay, and then what you do is make sure this layer is selected and hit Control backspace or Command backspace, and it will fill up your whole artboard. And what you do is go to normal and go to either color burn or linear burn. Okay, we'll see which one suits better. We'll try the color burn first, and then we'll go to the opacity, bring it down to maybe 39, and bring it down a little more. Now, if you can see, it actually tones down the really strong blue at the background, and it sort of like give everything a warmer feel to your image listing. If you want this look throughout your whole image listing, then make sure this layer is right at the top of all your other layers. Okay, so if you can see, if I turn this off, it's more bluish color, more white and more strong, and sometimes it can be a little bit too, like, you know, maybe too bright and too strong. But if you want to tone it down a little bit, give a little bit of a warm feel to your image, you can do this method. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Hello, darling. Come and join mommy. Come here. Well, this is life. This is real life. Okay, I'm doing a tutorial and I always get disturbed. I get visitors coming to visit me. All right, come on. So hey, say hello. Say hi. Okay, this is Hannah. It's my youngest. Okay, so now basically we're almost done. The last but not least, I'll just show you how to save it. Okay, so we are saving for web, and that will really bring down the file image size. So I want to show you how I want to save this whole image listing. So I'm able. Shh, be quiet, mommy had to do this tutorial. Okay, last but not least, I'll show you how to save this image. To save an optimized image, so an image that is not too heavy while retaining its quality. Okay, so we'll go to export, file, export, save for web. Okay, and then that's 1200 by 1900. Okay, that's really good. So make sure you choose JPEG, and the quality, maybe bring it down to, I would say 85 is pretty good. Okay, and that will bring it to the file size to 700 plus. And then make sure you click progressive. Make sure click to progressive, and then hit the save button. Okay, and then you save it on wherever you need to save. I'll probably put it on this one. I'll just replace this. Oops, don't do that. I'll replace that, and then I'll click save, and I will replace it, and there you go. The image is saved. I'll just double click here, and there you go. It looks amazing, and I'm quite happy with it. And so this is how you create the perfect image listing for your store. I hope you really liked this tutorial. If you liked this tutorial, give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe and hit the bell button. Okay, I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye now.